Before we dive into today's episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to stay updated with our latest insights.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CTSS Academy podcast. The energy is electric. The crowd is alive. Let's dive into greatness. We're champions strong.
Before we start the show, don't forget to check our new ebook, Kill All Bugs, Learn Software Testing in One Day. For a limited time, it's only $9.99. Links in description.
Welcome to the deep dive. If you followed the financial news at all recently, you know cryptocurrency is, well, it's far beyond just a niche hobby.
Oh, absolutely. It's a global financial heavyweight.
Right. We're talking about a total market cap that hovers around $2 trillion. That scale, it just demands attention. So our mission today is to give you the blueprint. We're taking a deep dive into the technical roadmaps, the strategic steps, everything you'd need to launch your own digital coin or token.
And we really have to stress the word successful. Just, writing some code isn't nearly enough.
Not even close.
For a digital asset to really thrive, it has to be a viable, problem-solving solution. It needs a rigorous strategic plan so it can grow into a real-life business.
So we're going to unpack the options, from the simplest token creation all the way to building a native coin completely from scratch.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get into the how-tos, we have to lock down the fundamentals. Because in the crypto world, not all digital assets are created equal.
That's the most important place to start. So, at its core, a crypto coin. It's a secure digital currency, and it runs on its own dedicated decentralized blockchain.
So the entire network, which is basically a distributed ledger, it handles everything.
It handles all the data, all the transactions, and critically, no single central authority controls it. Bitcoin was, of course, the world's first big example of this.
And this is maybe the most essential distinction for anyone in this space, creator or investor. The difference between a coin and a token. You hear those terms thrown around interchangeably, but they really shouldn't be.
They absolutely shouldn't. A coin is unique. It operates on its own dedicated, independent blockchain.
So think of something like Ethereum, ETH, or Binance Coin.
Precisely. Those assets are generated completely afresh. They have their own monetary policy, and they function as the native way to exchange value on that specific network.
Whereas a token is different. It's non-native. It's built as a smart contract on top of an existing blockchain.
Yes. It leverages that host chain security, its infrastructure, everything. So tokens draw their structure and their liquidity from that native coin. And that's why creating them is, well, it's exponentially easier and faster.
So things like Maker or Uniswap, those are tokens on Ethereum. They're borrowing Ethereum's power, but also its problems, like high fees.
Exactly. You inherit both the strengths and the limitations.
So once we have the asset defined, we need to talk about the engine room. Transactions happen on this distributed ledger. New crypto is made through mining. But I've noticed transaction speeds can be all over the place. Why the lag?
Well, there are four key technical variables at play. First is just network traffic. Simple supply and demand.
The more people using it, the longer the queue.
The longer the queue. Second, the transaction fees you attach. Validators, they prioritize high-fee transactions. If you want speed, you usually have to pay for it.
And the other two are more about the network's own built-in limits, right?
Correct. Third is block size. How much data a block can actually hold. A huge blockchain with many nodes just takes more time to resolve. And fourth is the block time, which is the set duration for all the validators on the network to accept a batch of transactions.
It sounds like a fundamental trade-off. Developers are always fighting, balancing that true decentralization and security against just pure speed.
That's the billion-dollar question. Developers are constantly trying to optimize their algorithms. We see new approaches in networks like XRP, Algorand, Stellar. But for a really fascinating technical dive, you should look at Nano.
Nano, how do they approach speed differently?
They moved away from the traditional blockchain structure entirely. Nano uses something called a block lattice blockchain.
A block lattice.
It's fundamentally different. Instead of one single ledger for everyone, every account essentially has its own mini blockchain.
Oh, wow.
So when you send money, you execute a transaction on your chain, and the receiver executes one on their chain. The network doesn't have to wait for global consensus on a single transaction. It's highly specialized and very, very fast.
That transition takes us perfectly into the practical how-to. So when you decide to build, you're looking at a huge spectrum of difficulty, cost, and time. And we found three main methods.
The first, and by far the hardest, is building on a new blockchain. This gives you a truly native coin.
That sounds like the PhD track of crypto development.
It really is. It demands a deep, deep understanding of cryptography, distributed systems, high-level coding.
But the upside is total freedom.
Maximum freedom. You can customize everything, but this is a marathon. It takes months, a big team, and it's by far the most expensive path.
Okay, so if you don't want to spend years on that, there's the middle path, altering an existing cryptocurrency.
Right. This is where you leverage open source code. You can go to GitHub, download the code for something like Bitcoin or Litecoin, and you essentially fork it, modify the parameters to create something new.
But that seems, I don't know, deceptively complex. The source material suggests there's a lot of legal and strategic risk here.
There is, because you're creating a new independent chain. The technical part might be straightforward for a good coder, maybe just a few hours. But the legal and strategic challenge is proving that your coin offers a unique value proposition. You need lawyers, you need auditors to make sure you're not just a copycat and that your coin is actually viable. That's why these projects are so often outsourced.
And then we get to the simplest method, which is really what's driving this huge boom in new digital assets.
And that's creating a new token on an existing blockchain.
The low barrier option?
Exactly. You're not building a new chain. You're just creating a smart contract on a network that's already running. The complexity just plummets. There are even automated tools that let someone with pretty average computer skills do it.
So if you go this route, picking your infrastructure is the single biggest decision you'll make. Let's touch on the three most popular ones.
Okay, first up is Binance Chain. It's known for just being easy to use. It simplifies the whole exchange process with the Binance DEX, so it's great for market exposure.
Then there's the giant, Ethereum, the one that really popularized smart contracts.
Right. Ethereum is massive. It supports most apps and NFTs. It uses the Solidity programming language.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, it has historically struggled with congestion.
High gas fees, slow processing.
They're working on it with upgrades, but it's a huge trade-off you have to consider.
And finally, Tron.
Tron is a really stable and efficient choice. It uses a system called Neti for fast transactions. And it's tailored for creating assets with specific token standards like TRC20 and TRC721.
Okay, let's pivot from the technical build to the strategy. Because even with flawless code, without a solid roadmap, you've just got a complicated spreadsheet.
Exactly. And we've got a 7-step strategy here that's really crucial for credibility and success in the market.
And I like that these steps apply no matter which development method you choose. This is about turning code into a business.
Precisely. Step 1 is defining the concept and writing the white paper. This is your core document. Your idea has to solve a real problem.
And the white paper lays it all out: token generation, community plans, and distribution.
The distribution strategy is critical.
Let's connect that to the bigger picture. This is where that whale risk starts, isn't it? How you distribute the tokens from day one.
That's a key point. The white paper has to detail your anti-concentration measures. If you say 80% of tokens go to the founding team, that's a huge red flag.
Right.
A credible strategy will show how tokens are disseminated over time, maybe with vesting periods or caps on purchases, to make sure you get broad community buy-in. You want to prevent a few whales from being able to crash the market.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so moving on to step 3. Selecting a consensus mechanism. This sounds technical, but it's really about setting the rules of the road for the whole network.
It is. It defines the unchangeable smart contract rules before your initial coin offering, your ICO. It's a critical choice that really sets your coin's identity.
Can you just quickly break down the main 3?
Sure. Proof of work, which Bitcoin uses, is super secure and decentralized, but it's very slow and energy intensive. Then you have proof of authority, which is centralized. It's lightning fast and cheap, but you sacrifice that decentralization. And a middle ground is delegated proof of stake, or DPoS.
And how does that one work?
It's community-driven. Users vote for a small group of delegates to validate transactions. It balances speed and decentralization pretty well, relying on community voting for its security. Your choice here really reflects your project's values.
Okay, once that's decided, you go public with steps 4 and 5, launch the ICO, and start mining.
Right, the ICO is the official start of your marketing plan. You have to engage the media, brokers, industry players, and at the same time, mining has to begin, so you actually have coins to distribute.
Nothing worse than having high demand and no product.
It kills credibility instantly.
Next is step 6, Build a community, the ongoing conversation.
Absolutely, whether it's Discord, Reddit, whatever.
Mhm.
This is where you maintain transparency and build trust. Investors want to know the founders are accessible.
And finally, the steps that protect everyone. Step 7, regular audit and legal clearance.
This is non-negotiable. The history of scams in crypto demands it. You need an external audit from a reputable company. It's a crucial stamp of credibility. And you need robust legal protection, because handling investor money immediately gets the attention of regulators, like the SEC.
The source material mentioned a specific legal framework, the Simple Agreement for Future Tokens, or SAFT. What does that actually do for you?
SAFT is a kind of safe harbor. It lets accredited investors buy a future right to tokens before the network is even launched.
So they're not buying the token itself.
Exactly. So this structure helps founders argue to the SEC that they're raising capital with a traditional investment contract, not selling an illegal, unregistered security. It buys you time and a layer of legal protection.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk practical constraints, cost and time. I have to say, I'm surprised by how vast the cost range is.
There is no fixed cost, really. You could use an automated tool and spend as little as $50.
$50.
But once you factor in the crucial strategic and legal parts, that cost easily jumps to $5,000 or, much, much higher.
And that cost isn't just coding hours.
Not at all. You have to budget for promotion, for the ICO, those non-negotiable auditor fees, development costs if you outsource, and definitely specialized legal costs for things like SAFT and SEC compliance.
Time is just as variable.
Completely. Automated tools, 5 to 20 minutes. Modifying existing code, maybe 4 hours for the technical part.
But creating a native coin from scratch.
You're absolutely talking months. Not just for coding, but for all the security testing, the legal setup, the audit, the full ICO launch plan. It's a massive undertaking.
So is outsourcing common for serious projects?
It's the norm. You either hire a dedicated team or use a blockchain as a service or BOSM provider. Big names like Microsoft Azure and AWS offer these solutions. They provide quality and can really speed things up.
So looking at the big picture, the core appeal is clear: decentralization. You eliminate that central point of failure risk.
And just the ease of use, buying, spending, getting loans, it's all radically simplified. Plus, as we said, the transfers can be incredibly fast.
But the sources also highlight some pretty significant disadvantages that we have to acknowledge.
There are two dominant concerns, really. First, the facilitation of unlawful practices. The confidentiality, well, it can make crypto attractive for illicit trade and money laundering.
And the second one, which is maybe more dangerous for the average investor,
Is the concentration risk, the ownership by those whales.
and that liquidation risk they pose can be catastrophic.
It can be. If a few large wallets all decide to dump their assets at once, the market can't absorb it. The value can just dwindle, leading to extreme volatility. It's why that initial white paper distribution strategy is so important.
Finally, a quick note on legality. Is creating crypto generally legal worldwide?
In most places, yes. But you have to be aware that certain nations have banned it completely, usually due to concerns about financial control. Countries like China, Iraq, Egypt, Morocco. You can't do it there.
So we've really mapped out the entire journey today. From the fundamentals of a token versus a coin, all the way through that critical strategic and legal roadmap. It's clear that success isn't just about writing a smart contract.
Not at all. It's about credibility from the white paper, your consensus choice, building community trust, and having that essential legal safety net, like a hasp in place.
So what does this all mean?
It means that although this industry is seeing explosive growth, around that $2 trillion mark, you now know that even with strong legal protections against outright fraud, the asset itself is always subject to that ownership concentration risk.
You now know that large ownership concentration can cause extreme volatility, and that the first defense against this is detailed right there in the white paper. So when you're examining any new initial coin offering, how do you critically evaluate that initial token distribution strategy? Specifically, the allocation for founders and early investors to protect yourself against the risk of a rapid whale liquidation. Something profound to think about as you research your next venture.
Thanks for listening. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. It helps more people find the show. See you in the next one.
Hey, yo, haven't you checked out our new book yet? Link in description.